Hi, everybody, and welcome to the RHAP B&B for the premiere of Survivor 45. My name is Mike Bloom. We are officially back with coverage of season 45. No quitting us whatsoever, especially when we heard the title and the repetition of the phrase, "We can do hard things." You knew Liana and I were popping back to cover everything going on, and there was a lot with the premiere of Survivor 45. So excited for another season of coverage to break down, especially from the lens that we usually do, of all the silly, chaotic mess that can come out of Survivor. Because, good God, while supplies were scant for the three tribes, they were plentiful when it came to material for this podcast. Of course, let me welcome in our panel for this week, breaking it down. The one constant, the sweat versus savvy, I should say, in that she is here every single premiere, but perhaps in a different form this time around. Liana Boraas. Liana, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I don't know if I want to be compared to Sweat and Savvy, Sweat versus Savvy, Sweat and also Savvy. I don't know. Anyway, look, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, but nothing could stop me from being here to talk about this 90-minute episode and all of the chaos contained within.
All right, well, Liana, if you need to jewel on the podcast, I think that's okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. I have my vape.
Imagine if that was like a reward or like a luxury item when they still had those.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. You could request that. I didn't think about requesting like consumable substance as your like special
Yeah, like
item.
almost comparable to like the HOH basket, right? Of like, oh, you can request
Hmm.
special snacks. I mean, I think that's a little bit underboard for Survivor, but Airbud rules, right? Like, it's not in the rules for you to ask for a vape.
Yeah, so go for it. Why not?
Well, we are here so excited to welcome in a guy to break down this premiere, considering but a year ago we were watching him engage in some cross-tribal activity that actually did make the edit, unlike Survivor 45. And even though he's not wielding a vape pen at this moment, he certainly created a lot of smoke over the course of his season. So excited to welcome to the B&B for the first time, Dwight Moore. Dwight, how are you?
Doing so well. Thanks for having me. Like Liana, also feeling a bit under the weather today. Not sure what's going on here, but we're gonna stick it out. We're gonna, have a great time talking about this premiere episode. Really excited to break this episode down, having a 9-minute premiere for the whole season. We're gonna have 9-minute episodes, so this cast is gonna get a lot of time to shine, and some of them got some great moments this episode. Some of them iconic, maybe they wouldn't say great, but so excited to talk about it all.
Yeah, and there was a lot. Now, it is so interesting because we are obviously looking ahead to the wealth of content we'll be getting with 90-minute episodes, but this was the first premiere in the new era to be less than 2 hours. And so when we talk about things like, oh, where was the journey? Oh, why didn't we get, again, unnamed, cross-tribal twist here? We actually got less time in this episode than we typically would in a new era premiere. That being said, there was so much to get into. And it has certainly left the internet a bit polarized, to say the least, especially given the ending of the episode. But counting it from beginning to end, Liana, I'm curious to hear from you. What did you think about this episode overall, especially now that we've had a few days to look back and reflect on it?
It still just feels all over the place. Like someone took 100 little micro events and then threw them all into one episode, right? So you have the Emily clap back to Bruce on the mat, which is disjointed from Brandon struggling in the first challenge, getting medical called, which is disjointed from whatever was happening with Savvy versus Sweat, which is disjointed from Bruce being like the father, even though he's trying to be the cool drunk uncle. It just felt like all of these separate little vignettes and not necessarily one like cohesive story. The only cohesive story is that Lulu is chaotic. That's the only one like big major takeaway that I got from this episode. It was fun nonetheless, but it just felt like kind of all over the place.
Dwight, what about you? Were you able to fixate on one thought about this premiere?
See, I saw a yellow tribe like starting to look like a disaster, and I was thinking back to my season. I'm like, oh my god, they did it again. Like, retire the color yellow from a new era. Just stop it.
No more
We
yellow.
don't need it. No more. Like Baka, like they all ended up doing well. Like we had a
Yeah.
winner, but like the premiere, I call everyone's like Baka's a mess. It's a disaster. It's not looking good. So Lulu, maybe they'll have a resurgence. Maybe they'll go on a run, just like Baka did. You don't lose any more members. We'll see. But yeah, the yellow just needs to the color. It's had its run. Like you can just replace the orange, maybe like red and orange weren't too similar. Survivor production consider that. Don't
Hmm.
But I love the premiere actually. I think as Liana was saying, there's so many different storylines that aren't really related to each other. Lulu in 90 minutes had like 4 different storylines going on, which is absurd in 90 minutes. Like not even like it's not even a 2-hour premiere. Like on the downside of it being a shorter premiere, we didn't really see Reba, I believe, as much. It was like, oh, cool, they're winning. Oh, there's this advantage, cool, but we didn't go further with the advantage. And then Bello, I believe is the tribe's name. Yeah, we have Bruce's storyline starting to kick off, it seems, and it looks like we'll see more of that based on the premiere next week of how Bruce's journey is going to go as a returning player and see if he incorporates any advice he received, like friends, and see if that plays a part this season or not.
Yeah, I don't know if the advice he got was like keep your tongue in your mouth, because I think that's one of listen, Bruce's head is fine, but he might get like medevac for his tongue getting some sort of contusion because he loves to like even when he's doing like the reactions back at camp of like when I saw Emily, I was like, oh bitch. Like, I mean, if this was the non-concussed Bruce that we were supposed to get last season, I'm so happy he got a second chance even more now because this man is on one. For sure. My God. I mean, I know we should be talking about like Hannah's digestion of certain substances before the show, but like, should we check Bruce a bit as well? Was Bruce maybe on something before coming onto the season?
My thing now that I'm seeing Bruce like in his full glory, I'm like, Tika on 44 with like healthy Bruce, like genuinely, what tribe balancing said, just entertainment, just y'all have fun, y'all go crazy.
Yeah,
just
listen,
give us all the content.
I will continue to take back everything I said about him being a square and like the most regular person on Tika in the preseason of 44, because like either this was the way Bruce was supposed to act, or now he's like, we talked about this last week, Liana, like, oh, I've got my second chance in life. I had my near-death experience in Survivor. So let me just be the wildest MFer that has ever existed on this beach, which is wild considering that he is on a beach with Kendra. Like, that is saying something. If you are a wackier character than Kendra on your beach at this point, that is an achievement in and of itself.
Bruce kind of reminds me a little bit of one of those dolls that you squeeze and then their like tongue sticks out or like their ears pop out. You know, the like little plastic ones that you squeeze. So maybe he got like, you smack him on the head and he goes, like that's the motion.
Don't smack him too hard. Again, we've dealt with that last season. If I had a word to describe this premiere, and it is a very odd word, but it was a very odd episode, to me it would be refreshing. Because what I found so interesting is I got the pleasure of talking with Jeff after the events of this episode, and I gave him the rundown of just all the shit that went down, usually from Lulu. And he brought up to me, yeah, the interesting thing about this is that all of that came from the players. And what I find so interesting is that this episode absolutely cracked. I would say the 44 premiere absolutely cracked as well. But look at the differences where 44 introduced the birdcage, had someone find an idol, introduced 2 more advantages as well on the journey. And it was clear that like there was a lot of stuff going on from production's perspective in particular that like ended up with Maddie going out in one vote that was super duper wackadoo, but was also kind of manifested by a bunch of stuff production was throwing in early on. That was not the case with this. This was 100% on the players, to the point where like the only thing that I would say was a major affection on this episode was the sweat and savvy, at least one tribe is guaranteed to fail type of thing, which I think definitely exaggerated the Delulu loser aspect, where now they're the first tribe in the new era to officially like go into episode 2 without any supplies whatsoever. So it was nice to see, especially after 44. And I think a lot of understandable complaints from the fan base about like, y'all are doing too much too quickly. Production, let the players play. We are letting the players play for what it is worth. You can have commentary certainly about the quality of play, but these people are playing their way from the get-go. And the other thing to me is, and especially Dwight, I'm keen to hear from your perspective, is that I do feel like one of the comments lobbied towards new era casting is like, too many game bots, too many super fans that love the game are too focused on the strategy. We're not seeing their personality come out. There are very few game bots on this season. I can already say after 90 minutes of television, this is a personality-driven season, first and foremost. And so again, I'm enjoying that aspect really come to life and in the forefront in this episode.
No, yeah, this is. I don't think we had a single really like long confession about like how long someone's like. Well, Brandon's a big fan, of course, and like I love that his personality is separate from being a fan. He is amazing casting in general. I love this guy. his confessional, even during like the promo and everything, amazing confessional about his grandfather and everything. Great. Like every single player this season is bringing something right now, and I'm loving that. Reba, unfortunately, didn't get as much content, but still they are having their own moments right now. With the secret, like Sifu doing his whole hunt, and people are like, what is he doing? And this is like he hasn't found anything. There's nothing prompting. He just said, "Fuck it, we ball. We're going into the forest. We're just gonna build a spy shack. Why not?" And then Bella, we have the lawyer throwing another lawyer under the bus, running it back and forth, just making sure he is 20 feet under, being like, "Oh, work with lawyers. Oh my god, tell me more about being a lawyer." I just love lawyers. Lawyers just great. Oh, you're a lawyer? What kind of lawyer do you work with other lawyers? Like, are you married to a lawyer? Oh my god, I love lawyers. Like, she is just pounding it in about being a lawyer, and Jake giddy as hell to talk about it. Maybe not realizing what target's being put on his back, and it's hilarious what Couture's doing. But yeah, as you're saying about the casting, I think, and this is a tangent, but it's funny going on Reddit and Twitter every season because like they cast too many nerds, game bots, etc. We have an entertaining as fuck like premiere.
Yeah.
Like why are every season? And this I think it's just Reddit just upset that like their casting slots getting taken by other people who are fans. But who knows? I don't want to talk about it further. But it's funny thing that I think we've seen this. I check Reddit a lot. I see this every single new era season being like they cast too many X, they cast too many Y. Bring back hot people season. I'm like, you want to go silent again? You want the 26-year-old going around?
Listen, what I will say, if people are saying bring back the hot people, skip the middleman, just go watch porn. It is readily available out there on the internet at your leisure, voluminously. You don't need to pad it out with 42 minutes of strategy. Like, it's
That's
out there.
The foreplay, Mike. Come on.
I want a porn star season play out. That'd be highly intriguing. Anyways, cut that from the episode. I'm just saying that for no reason. But yeah, it's intriguing dialogue that happens every single season. But I think this casting has been amazing so far. I'm really excited to see what they do. Well, giving a try like 90 minutes to actually show more camp life and everything. Hopefully, that's how it ends up playing out. That's like my biggest hope for this cast. Sometimes when you play and you get upset when things aren't shown. You remember like some nice camp moment or something that happened on your tribe or during the game, and you're upset it didn't get shown. If you have to rationalize out, like, oh, they have to focus on other stuff. Only 60 minutes. You have to focus on the journey of the winner and what happens later on. Setting things up. With 90 minutes, there's a bit more room to play with. So I'm hoping these players have a bit of a better journey with what's shown and their experience being portrayed correctly on the TV.
I think to go back to the complaint about too many super fans or too many whatever. I'm like, are you not entertained? Was this not so entertaining? I really enjoyed this episode. And of course, it's soured a little bit by the quit. But in general, for 90, 87 minutes, like I was having a great time.
And that's great. There are direct-to-DVD Disney movies that cannot give you nearly as much enjoyment in 87 minutes as this episode.
Exactly. So I think we're really winning here.
I completely agree. Now, look, let's get to the moment that Liana spoke about, because as you mentioned, this was sort of, I think, a demarcating line for a lot of people out there, either to their enjoyment of their episode, the enjoyment of that person in particular, which is, of course, Hannah's decision once she gets to tribal council to say, like, yeah, I realize that 5 people on this tribe want it more than I do. I'm good. The SpongeBob meme, right? Like, I'm a head out right now. Dwight, of course, I got to turn to you as the alumni on the panel, because understandably, I think a lot of people from your community have come forward being like, I would have fought, scrapped every ounce of my being to stay there as long as I could. I'm sure you're part of that group as well. But how do you look upon Hannah's specific situation and the decision she made?
So, a bit of context, first of all. Like, it's not like you're taken from a luxurious hotel room and dropped onto the island in Survivor. There's a pregame period where people are outside as well. Like, I'm not going to talk specifics about it. Just leave that, for future players to discover on their own. They probably look it up somewhere. But, there is a process of where you're kind of adjusting to living outside in Survivor. It's a few days, and it's by design. It's kind of, if people figure out it's not for them. So let's be very clear. Hannah went through the whole casting process, which is a long process. Hannah went through this like pregame period, which is also a long process, and then get into the game. I think no one from New Era can really talk about so far what it's like to not have a machete for those 3 days. So to be fair, the hunger might have been a bit harder than any New Era players experienced so far. And a lot of New Era players think the hunger wasn't that bad at first. And I'll personally say the hunger never really set in too much on my season, but granted, we had a machete the whole time. We had Neck was amazing in doing coconuts for us, so we're set. These two tribes, I guess, Blue had got it on 3, but Yellow didn't have it for these entire 3 days until Tribal, so they may be eating absolutely nothing. And then her decision to quit at Tribal itself, one, it prevents some from getting voted out, and then her quitting later, they're down to 4 people. And the reason behind it, while to quit is still not a good thing, there's a lot of empathy behind the decision. So for me, I'm trying to see the human side of it and be like, maybe there's something we don't understand of why she quit, or maybe there's like there's more to it going on the episode didn't cover. Because they did kind of in the episode, they abruptly was like going through Tribal at something, but I'm going to quit, by the way. Like there might have been more to it they didn't show. So I don't. It is just personally having been a player. I know sometimes a lot of people speculate and talk about like what happened or why. I don't want to really speculate too much on what kind of person she is because she quit. Like I think the quit itself, not ideal. I can't sit here and say the quit's ideal, but it's not an excuse to like suddenly do an introspective on her willingness to do hard things in life and everything. Like she went through, not eating for 3 days without the machete and everything. We don't know about the nicotine withdrawals. Maybe not the best decision to be on nicotine stuff pre-game and everything, but it's something that happened. So while the quit's like I said, not the best thing, there's not a reason to suddenly just introspect every part of her character and just tear her apart. The internet needs to chill a bit, which they won't do. We all know that, but hopefully they will chill.
Yeah, listen, I hope I am not bringing this up as a surprise to anybody, but like, please, I hope nobody out there listening was the type of person that went to Hannah's business page and like left a review based on the fact that she wanted to leave a reality show, that therefore that reflects bad on her professionally. Like, y'all are what's wrong with reality TV nowadays. Is like, you talk about like, oh, we want villains again. We want to bring these people out who do these big, bold things. Do they want to when it reflects bad on their personal life as well? They're less inclined to do so. So hopefully not. And yeah, that's the other thing as well is like, I think we should definitely show at least understanding towards the situation to a certain extent. Listen, Hannah, what were you smoking when you decided you were going to not go cold turkey on nicotine at all before going on to Survivor? Oh, I know. You were smoking nicotine, which was the problem. Not giving up coffee, not giving up smoking. It's entirely ridiculous. I think even if Hannah had the wherewithal to stay, it would have been a struggle bus for her. And so the fact that she chose not to get on the struggle bus at all, or I guess park the struggle bus at this point and be like, yeah, the bus is out of commission for this season, helps when it comes to your point, Dwight, at the service of allowing a Brandon or an Emily to continue in the game when, much like Brandon proper, they probably would have been dead in the water upon this tribal council happening.
I think well, first of all, I think it makes me, I don't know if respect is the right word, but like think about what Shane Powers did also going like he did well then for being like a multiple pack a day smoker.
Yeah,
or
to be
something,
fair,
like,
he did get a literal smoke break in the middle when they went to that village, and he was
That's
just like
true. When he's
huffing
like
down those cigarettes,
and like the ash is like still like this long, like at the end of the cigarette. Yeah, that's so funny. I was looking back to see what I had, because Mike and I had chatted a little bit about this, and I was like, what did I say? What were my thoughts on this? Because I think it was very similar to to what the two of you were saying, that like essentially from an empath, like if she didn't feel comfortable in the situation, removing yourself from that situation is the best thing you can do to protect your mental health. Like I don't in any way blame her for recognizing something that's causing her turmoil and being willing to step away. Like that takes a lot of courage. It also allows people who really want to stay on the show. I also understand where that frustration is coming from.
Yeah.
Of like, no one wants to see a quit, like really ever, right? And especially knowing how, like, imagine being that alternate, like imagine being the alternate that's like at Ponderosa and you watch that episode, you just be like, you freaking kidding me?
Well,
I'd be so upset.
Well, especially because the male alternate was Austin. Like the male alternate got their chance and is on the island now in his skivvies, finding a shopping list of advantages. And now you we're not allowed onto the season and you watch this person go out. Now, again, to Dwight's point, and from when I talked with Hannah, I talked with Hannah the day before the game started, and like she was hunky-dory. She seemed totally fine with it. I think it was just a matter of like the compounding of choices made on her part as well as the shock to the system. She also talked with me and in some other exit interviews about the fact that like she essentially didn't sleep for 72 hours, that she's a very sensitive sleeper, and that both Caleb and Sabaya were snoring the entire time. And so I think it was just pure exhaustion by the end of it. To your point, Liana, it's not an ideal outcome. It's not how I wanted to end the episode. I'm also weird. You and I talked about this during the Matthew episode last season, that like I am a weirdo in that I don't necessarily need the episode to end like in a tribal council voting someone out to be a good episode of Survivor. I can totally understand why some people do, why they feel like that's a fundamental part of what makes for at least a substantial episode of the show. And so I could see why some people felt a bit of an odd taste in their mouth left at the end of like a very odd taste that is Lulu in general, as we go into now this next episode with them down someone that they would have never voted out, with, you know, to the point where there was the discussion at tribal council where they had to actually discern which person was the one that Emily was speaking about someone who was struggling in the game. Dwight, I know you said that Yellow has had their comebacks in the past, but like, I don't know. This is a pretty unprecedented deficit to overcome. The only challenge I think they could win at this point is like name that conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's not looking good. To be fair, we were on the season and they voted out Mariah first, and like I remember we were talking to what like best. We were just like, yeah, they're doomed. Future like we thought Yellow was doomed. They voted out Mariah, who like did the beam for them. Like they voted out one of the strong women. Like, okay, they're screwed challenges wise. They're gonna keep losing. We're great, and then we go on to lose next two challenges. So things might happen to where Yellow's able to go on a run, but it's not looking as good as it was. For like a Baka or something where they can win challenges. I think it might be tough. Maybe if it's more puzzle heavy and not physical challenges, I think they might have a chance because they do have people I think are going to be pretty good at puzzles. But physically, yeah, maybe. And also, to be fair, I didn't want to call back to Brandon having the anxiety attack. The anxiety thing, that was like anxiety. It wasn't like a lack of physical exertion or whatever. And then like the wall, I think like 4 people fell off. So that I don't think people are like harping on some things too much. Like they all suck physically. It's not that bad. Like it's just a little like just small things happen when the edit focuses on people come to conclusions like they must suck at all physical stuff. No, it's just they slipped on a muddy wall. And I think a lot of people would do that.
I'm actually really happy that you brought that up because that's something that I noticed when so in the immunity challenge, you see Caleb, instead of building the sort of human ladder to lift people up, he jumps up and climbs up to try to lift people. And I was like, oh, no, don't do that. Get down there. It's easier for him to lift people, I think, than for him to pull people. And that's what ends up happening. He ends up sliding back down and lifting people up. And they actually end up making pretty quick time once he makes that strategic change. So that's not really a physical deficit, in my opinion. That felt like a strategic mistake where like you should have
100%.
stayed to actually help to lift people. And also like the two of them with Caleb and Sabaya crushing it with the logs, like again, there's really strong people on that tribe. It's just a matter of utilizing that to the best of their ability. So I don't know. I'm still really nervous for them. I can't like get that out of my system, but I'm hoping that if they can put the pieces together in the right way, they can turn it around. But getting through that mental game, I just think that's really the biggest thing for them, especially when you've already lost somebody. The person you wanted to leave didn't even leave. You had a person quit. That must be so demoralizing. Walking into the next immunity challenge being like, oh my God, how are we even going to do this?
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought in retrospect, all they had to do was like throw Sean up there holding onto everyone's buffs and just make a buff rope ladder, apparently, to get to the top. Maybe that'll be the thing.
So
best
strong.
promo for those buffs they have ever had in 20 years. I was like, it's gonna break. It's like, like okay, good job for making those buffs. Honestly, so impressed.
Them. Like, what are they made out of? That's amazing that they held that much weight.
I feel like you need to build like airplanes out of them nowadays. I feel like that's like one of those sturdiest substances on Earth. Though I don't know. Poor Caleb is probably wearing like the saggiest buff now after this. That thing was stretched out AF. It's also interesting, like the best laid plans in Mice and Men, right? Caleb comes in talking about, I love the villains. I'm going to be such a devious player. But because of the situations on his tribe, and in particular, like his position on the tribe, he's now kind of forced into being the hero of Lulu, which is so interesting that because he is one of the physically strongest people on there, as Emily says, despite her targeting him, they wouldn't have gotten through that challenge if it wasn't for him. Now he has to be like, okay, I guess I can't do my schemes right now. I guess I have to be, the head of the Bad News Bears right now. I mean, what's interesting is I think bringing up the Brandon point is really salient because panic attacks, and especially from what Brandon looked like legitimately almost passing out from a panic attack, like that wipes you out. Yes, it was a 3-day period that they played, but it was only a 3-day period. And I would imagine, given the deprivation of everything happening, that like to a certain extent, I would imagine that Brandon's performance in the immunity challenge is not 100% the type of player Brandon can be from a physical perspective. I could definitely see him still kind of reeling from the after effects of everything that happened in that opening challenge. He tried to rest up as much as possible, but I could see like still there was probably a bit of him both mentally and physically that was lagging, that the hope is after some time, maybe we get into more challenges where it's like one person at a time does something as opposed to like everyone in the tribe lift this giant bag of coconuts. That could certainly help as well. I mean, I certainly hope that's the case. Not to say that I don't want more Lulu time because they are just utterly, utterly fantastic. I'm so ecstatic about everything this tribe was bringing in this episode. But of course, we don't want predictability on these shows. And right now, Occam's Razor would say that they're absolutely going to get decimated during the pre-merge, and we don't want that to happen. So yeah, bring on the unlikely comeback story for these Lulus. They're doing it for Hannah.
Exactly. One thing I also do want to bring up now, I just remember when you're talking about Hannah and they kind of derailed their plans. I'm excited to see when they come back and they have to deal with, because they plotted to get someone else out. Like, I think it was Emily or Brandon probably who was going to go home. And I'm not sure if they are fully aware they were going to go home. If the Hannah quit was like, I'm not sure if Hannah talked about the quit on the island beforehand, that they kind of knew. But if they didn't and Hannah just peace, and then someone's there and they were going to get like 4 or 5 votes to go home, it's like, oh, like, hey guys, what's up? Can we talk? I'll think about that meme like, hey, hi. So I'm so excited to see how they deal with that.
Yeah, but that hate person is also Emily, who is definitely not acting like that.
Oh, true. Emily is gonna just. Oh God, Emily. I know. Fantastic casting. That's all I can say.
Oh my gosh, I think the question is whether or not, and I didn't rewatch the tribal, but to see about like how much of an indication they gave away to who was getting voted out, because I think it was I thought it was obvious. But maybe
I mean,
just
Sabaya was like, I mean, I don't know if it was obvious for like Emily or Brandon, but Sabaya made it very clear, like, no, we are going to vote someone else out, and then Hannah, if you want to quit down the line, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm almost convinced it was like Emily, like 99%.
I think so too.
That's what Hannah told me. We'll get into again, I think, the stuff that didn't make the episode about Kendra's visit, and apparently Kendra did cast a vote for Brandon. And so Hannah said, okay, maybe this like Sabaya Caleb plot to vote Brandon would have gone through. But from what she alleged to me, again, from her perspective, it seemed like before Tribal Council, the votes ended up turning towards Emily, in particular because of her sort of last minute plan to say, you know what? I don't think we need the strongest member of our tribe. I think we need to take him out right now.
Bold gambit, gotta say. Very bold in the new era where tribe swaps aren't really common, and take out your strongest guy when he's the only reason you guys didn't get stuck on the first obstacle. But anyway, strategy, who knows? Everyone has their own, and maybe there's something she's seeing that I do not. I'm at home, I'm now a viewer. I'm no longer the player in the episode. So I don't want to judge the strategy, but I can scratch my head at the thought process.
Right. Looked a little sus from the outside about moving forward that way. Unless she was like, I can be the last one standing. Like, I will decimate my tribe.
Yeah,
if you're going for decimation, that's way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. She sort of brought up the UA thing when she was talking with Brandon and Hannah. They're like, we'll vote out Caleb, but then we'll just stick through with the 3 of us and I don't know, pray for a swap, hope for an early merge, try to get through something. The benevolence of Jeff just to let them by with immunity for one time. I'm not entirely sure because, chances would be significantly slimmer. God, Emily.
Now that I think about it more, I am being slightly hypocritical because I did for a brief moment on my season consider trying to get Cody out super early and like fuck it, we ball. Let's just get to the end as like just being Noel. I did briefly think about that because I was like, we have. It was like we had no steal votes. So I was like, okay, we can go down to 4 without one of them. We can vote one out 3-2, and then vote the last one out. So I think about it more. I'm being hypocritical because I was fairly okay with going down to 2 at some point. I talked myself out of it, but intentional matching is not a bad idea when you trust the person you're going down to 2 with.
Well, that's the thing about Emily, is that she says the quiet part out loud at all times. This woman's filter is as thin as like the bogus ones you have at your work in the coffee machine. Considering that, hey, Bruce is back. Sorry, Bruce. I think you're full of bullshit right now. Without Jeff even saying like, woman in the yellow, going through with that entire charade. The first thing Emily says at the Game of Survivor is like, Bruce, you're full of crap.
That shocked me. Like anyone, I don't even think you don't need to be a fan. Just realize on a show like this, where first impressions matter, you don't want to stand out too much, positively or negatively, because you don't want to go home first. The first vote out on like any tribe or like super early in the game don't typically have a reason. It's just bad first impression, and then everything forms around that impression, and people's groups form around those different opinions you made when you first met somebody or where they're from. You can be drawn to that. For someone to unprompted look to someone else and be like, hey, you go fuck yourself on like the first chance they get on the show. Bull. I was we're in a watch party and I'm just watching. It's like, why is he speaking? Like, Jeff, you didn't prompt him. You just turned to Bruce and started just talking. And I can imagine Bruce is a better man than I would have been like, you see her, she's like, you should look at that because she's talking a whole lot. Like Bruce didn't go after her, which I think like I would have been like, if I'm Bruce, I'm mad as hell because like, why are you calling me out? We just started. Like, I don't need this attention. I'm gonna throw it back on you real quick. Like, we don't need this right now. But and then Bruce kind of tried to let me go, and Emily kept talking. Emily, chill. You're going to get targeted for this. Like, if you're her tribe, if I'm the rest on Lulu, I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna go home first. This is so nice. Like she's this type of person. She's
definitely going home first, unless someone quits because they didn't stop smoking before the season. As long as that's not the case, she's going home.
Yeah, but if I see that, I'm just going to everyone else, like becoming everyone else's best friend, and trying like push the trend towards maybe she'll go first if she just keeps being this outspoken. Because like it's the smallest things to make someone go home first. And I say the smallest things, but this is not the smallest thing. Like this is a consistent theme throughout the episode with Emily. And as I can say, amazing casting. This is just, I'm not sure if she intended on going on her being this outspoken or if she just knows that about herself, like knowing I just can't have a filter because like you shouldn't talk like this on the mat in the premiere. Or like even when you get to the beach, you shouldn't. But in front of all the players, like they're gonna remember. Like when the merge hits, this is their first impression. Their first thing about Emily is she decided to just go after Bruce. So when they finally meet up at a merge or something, they're gonna have that still in the back of their head, unless they meet, via this whole going to another tribe and voting mechanic, which happened. But if they don't meet until then, yeah, this gonna linger for a while, and I'm interested to see how this goes for her, like fitting in.
And even so, if Emily gets the chance to visit Bello, she's gonna touch down off the boat, be like, "Hey, Bruce, you bitch, how's it going? Ready to go home yet?" Like, she's not gonna make a good second impression, let alone first impression.
From her preseason interview, it was like, "Oh, I can't lie." I was like, I thought you just couldn't hide the truth. You literally cannot hide the truth. Like the thoughts they just make it out of the mouth. Like no matter what it is, they're out of there. And there's moments of like the self-reflection in the confessional when she says, "Oh, I'm rubbing people the wrong way. I would be like an easy person to like be voted out first." And I'm like, okay, great. Now, what are we going to do about that? Like, let's actually change some of our actions to match that. If we could do that, that'd be great. And then that did not happen at all whatsoever. It's like, oh God, Emily, Jesus Christ.
It's just so much fun though, because again, this is so atypical. I think, especially nowadays, I think again, something that people talked about with especially new era casting super duper fans is like everyone is very wary about the social game. And the thing is, to your point, Liana, Emily kind of is as well. But I don't know. She's one of the few lawyers that are not on this season, but it feels like she's in a liar situation where like she just can't help but speak the truth. It's not even about not being able to lie. It's being outwardly explicit about opinions that she doesn't need to say, and it is so entertaining in so many ways. I mean, she called it in the preseason to me. She's like, listen, there are people I don't get along with, and knowing this show, they'll probably put me on that tribe. Now, granted, I don't know if this matches up exactly what the personalities she felt like she would conflict with. You feel like throw Bruce on here, and it's like the perfect worst case scenario tribe for Emily.
Oh my god, they should have put Bruce in the same tribe. God, that's a missed opportunity. Tribe. I think they're going to put in tribe swap just for that. Just Emily. Oh my god, you have a blue buff now. That's crazy. Get over here right now. Talk to Bruce.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff doing a little sleight of hand to like swap the buffs like right before she picks, just be like, yeah, this one, definitely this one.
We're gonna do a tribe swap with only just let's be a little fun. Let's just rotate a woman off each tribe. Emily. Oh, randomly Emily. That's crazy how you got chosen.
Still
and we're gonna blue. That's so funny. But yeah, it's also now I want just knowing how Emily is. I want to see the full like conspiracy theory conversation that they had about the aliens. I want to see what Emily had to say unfiltered. I wonder if she was like agreeing or like appeasing them or just like that's dumb as shit. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I want to see this.
Like that. So that was interesting because we got to see at least one of her responses, right? Which was like, you know what? I've never thought about aliens I've never thought about that until this moment. And I'm like, okay, that's like a good neutral answer of, okay, great. But what did she say next? Right? Like,
it has
I want to know the follow-up comment.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was so bold. I feel like it would have made the edit though. Again, 90-minute episode pared down for 2 hours. What I will also say is like, let me defend Emily a smidge here. Not even about like not yes-anding it and going along with the narrative. How is this a discussion topic on day 2? You're still getting to know people's names and where they're from. Who was the one that decided, all right, here's the ultimate icebreaker? And it's not even like an open-ended question. It was almost like a test answer of like, yes, and we all know, of course, the one who built the pyramids are. What a wild thing to throw out as a piece of unquestionable truth to complete strangers.
Oh, I promise you, like that first day feels like forever. So I get it. Like day 2, I'm just like, yeah, okay, let's talk about anything. I think we all saw Cody's butt tattoo like day 2 or 3. I'm like unprompted. I'm like, thank you for showing me your entire ass. Quite literally. Love that. So things happen very fast with people you're on an island with and literally nothing to do, especially with them having no journey day 2. He must have been bored. Like, oh my god. Like, I personally love the off days. So like it's time like build those bonds, kind of get to know people. I know some people on my season hate off days. Like, I want to do something. Give us a challenge. Give us like a twist. Give us something to do. So it's different opinions. Maybe they're the type who's like they love it and like to talk, or they're so bored. It's like, you know what, aliens, fuck it. Let's talk about it. Why not? Like, what's next? So it's very interesting now. It kind of relived the different like days. You have just like, oh my god, I remember just saying they're being so bored, wanting to do something, or it's fun.
I also like thinking about it is it's almost like Caleb's litmus test to see who would like unquestioningly agree with him, because you see Brandon like nodding his head in response to like, well, we all know who built the pyramids.
But did you see what he did afterwards? Like, he said aliens that are log, and then for a brief second, he looked at the camera. He halberted it to be like, get a load of this guy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the test. You like see how people respond to it. That's how he knew that Sabaya was definitely going to be his BFF. He's like, yes,
yeah,
could that have
been why Emily targeted Caleb? Like, he's already leading the cult of Lulu. He's you can't spell cult without Lulu. He's already spouting out his alien prophecies. What else is he going to do after this? He must be stopped.
See, it's all part of the strategy.
I do want to show one thing before we get into our usual stuff here on the B&B, because obviously we spent a lot of time in Lulu, and Dwight, to your point, we did get a lot of Reba, if I'm delivering it the way that Steve did, which, like, I don't know, I pegged him as a big personality beforehand. I did not expect as big of a personality as he ended up breaking down the season.
I was completely off base from what I was going to be like. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. The amazing energy. I was like, I was wrong. I thought he'd be a lot more low key. I didn't watch too much like previous interviews. Like, okay, he'll be low key. Not wrong. Just no.
But I did grab something that was from, I believe this is the secret scene that Dalton Ross posted. So on day 1, after winning the challenge where Brandon, nearly doesn't make it there, they get the flint. It takes them 8 hours to make fire. They just can't get it started despite the fact that they have an unquestionable lead and the materials to do so. they are going to do it. Spoiler alert. But along the way, Drew or Basile or Drew Basile give some like last minute encouragement for the final strokes that they do of this flint. I'm going to show the secret scene here, and let's see what Drew has to say. Here we go.
The light is literally very rapidly decreasing.
We have like 30 minutes to do this. This time, when it lights, we play it cool. It's like a girl at the bar. You know what I mean?
Girl at the bar?
Yeah, don't be too forward. You know, let it sizzle.
Yeah, don't rush.
Yeah. It's going. Yeah. Play cool. Yep. We're getting her number. Yep. We're talking to her right Put some stuff on it. Now we want something like she's
Happy?
Definitely. Stay cool.
There we go. Let's bring it back.
Got it.
This was key.
Look, she just gave us her number. We're walking her to the car. Oh my god! 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 We're champions! It's all thanks. We have fire!
So, congratulations to Reba. But in the oddest motivational technique I think I've ever seen on this show, they keep. First off, it's a fun idea, I suppose. At first, of like, well, it's like, you know, you want to play hard to get, I suppose, to the fire. But the fact that as they're building the flame, they keep talking through the analogy is something that tickles me to absolutely no end.
I think genuinely they were told practice analogies for like tribal, and they just took it like, no, throughout the entire game. They just missed that tribal part. Just only analogies. Even amongst each other. When we're not prompted. Only analogy talk. And they committed. I respect that. Yeah, they committed so hard. And I would just been there laughing my ass off the entire time. Like, what are you saying? Like, just stop. But
I mean, yeah.
It brought them together, and clearly it worked. They have a fire. They're talking. The motivation did its job. So clearly Drew knows what he's talking about when it comes to like how to motivate your tribe. Who am I to judge? You know? Now my concern is they're gonna lose that fire so fast. Where that's placed. Like that fire pit. I'm sorry.
Are you saying the fire's gonna be a one-night stand? That they're not gonna put a ring on it?
I think that fire's gonna go. Maybe.
They're gonna wake up the next morning, the fire's gone.
Like it's all, like I feel like the wind just like the wind's gonna take it because like the fire pit isn't that deep, so all taking like one gust of wind's like gone or it's gonna burn the clothes.
The wind is the ultimate Mr. Steal Your Girl, apparently.
Oh my god! Also, they're better than us though, because that was still first day. Our red tribe, we didn't get what is showing the episode. We didn't get fire for like 30 hours or something, even though we got the flint day one. Granted, it rained before. It rained in pregame, so our island was wet, and the other islands weren't that wet. I'm not sure if people know the island layouts, but one camp is typically on its own island, and then the other two new era are on different sides of the same island or a bit apart. So Vessi was on the one island, and us not getting fired in the first 30 hours was a bit because it was wet. So maybe they were able to overcome that. They got their fire on day one better than us. We just said we don't need a fire on Survivor, right? Like it's just not. We're just gonna live in the darkness. We really just didn't care after day one. Like we have machete and pot. We're fine. We're making coconuts. We don't need light.
We don't need that. You should have tried the analogy, Dwight. Maybe that would have helped you, and especially because it was wet already. So you know.
Oh no! Oh, she's wet. She's wet.
If you watch it back by season, I think I was trying to give an analogy, and then the building fell on me when we made a fire. So clearly the girl just wasn't interested. She just said, "Get out, just go."
The universe is like, stop that, stop that.
Stop talking.
You're done.
I am so intrigued by Drew because, all right, this will be a bit of like a deep cut, but back in Survivor Caramoan, if you remember, Cochran got a question from one of the three amigos at the final tribal council of like, okay, Cochran, we're at the bar. We're hanging with a bunch of sweeties. What do we do? And Cochran's like trying to bro down as much as he can. Drew is the living embodiment of that answer in a form of like, here comes this pretty dweeb city, as he was referred to preseason. And it felt like he, more than anyone, was consistently talking about, Basile's the one with the arm around you at the bar. Oh, we got to play hard to get with this fire. We're getting her in the car. Like, I did not peg Drew Basile as the horn dog of Survivor 45, personally. That's not in my prediction. Spoiler alert.
I'm genuinely, like, I'm intrigued. Is this a bit he's committed to? Is this, like, his personality in real life? Is this casting was, like, did he get a one-time cast like we love that? He said, I'm gonna take this the whole time, or is this like he's trying to fit in with his tribe? It's like the read he got, like this personality to bring out to fit on this tribe. Because sometimes you need to show different parts of yourself to fit in. Maybe he read the room. It's like this is who I need to show to really get along with the guys here. I'm intrigued to find out more about the entire Reba tribe in general, but specifically Drew and like how he's going to manage this situation socially, because it came off as kind of awkward at first, but maybe this is who he is, and maybe our misconceptions about who he is as a person, maybe we judge him at first glance, he's very different than that. So I'm intrigued to see where this goes, and if we're just wrong in our prediction.
Yeah, I think it was a choice. I don't know if it like immediately translated, but who knows? Maybe given a little bit more time, because it just felt a little bit inauthentic, I think. So to go to kind of Dwight's point about like, oh, this is like a really great angle, let me kind of run with this, or this is what my insecurities have manifested, that I'm a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of situation. I'm not 100% sure. It felt a little bit awkward. I mean, he's quite young. He's what, like 20?
He's like the youngest person on the cast.
Something.
He's 23.
Yeah, 23. So, he's just working through that part of his personality.
Is Brando younger?
He and Brando are the same age, but I guess we'll have to go to like the wire with the birthdays. I know that Drew was just in his last semester of school upon playing Survivor, so I think Brando's slightly older than him.
Okay, got it.
So let's get into some of our tried and true segments here on the B&B. Of course, before the season, Liana and I went through the cast members and each wrote down how we thought they'd do in the preseason. If somehow one of us wrote down that Hannah Rose has a craving for nicotine and puts forward the earliest quit in Survivor history, I am quitting this podcast and I am playing the lottery full time, because that is like Nostradamus-like quality levels of prediction. That's the goalpost. I don't think we're getting that far. But outside of that, Liana, how did you think Hannah was going to do preseason?
Okay, so we've done like variations on this before where like Mike has used Brant Steele to like predict the boot order. So I was really struggling with this. So I went ahead and I had AI determine the boot order, but I wrote the predictions just based on sort of the few bullet points that I got from, I used Google Bard also, not ChatGPT. So anyway, so Hannah was designated as pre-merge. Oh, and there's some wonky stuff with that. Somebody shows up twice also on the boot list, and someone doesn't show up at all. So, but we'll get to that later. It's not Hannah. Hannah made it on the boot list.
Did you keep it in there with that person voted? Someone comes back, gets voted out twice, and then one person just, I don't know, disappears.
It was a head-to-head challenge, and they took their spot in the game. We'll go with that.
Exactly. Okay, good, perfect.
Unique twist.
Oh, is there a Survivor zombie this season?
There's no zombies, no pig costumes, nothing like that. So Hannah was designated as a pre-merge. And so I said that Hannah, there's elements from Bard that I put in here. So Hannah was a smart and capable player, which made her the final target for the Emily, Caleb, Sean alliance. And I said that Yellow would be decimated in pre-merge. So those are the three that kind of like survive the pre-merge. I said that Hannah would initially struggle to form bonds with her tribe because she was a bit of a loner, but fell into an alliance with Brandon and Sabaya. I said Hannah's impulsive behavior led to her flip-flopping during votes at tribal council and even a few emotional outbursts when her tribe was failing in the challenges. Her alliance was Brandon and Sabaya. Her enemies were Emily and Caleb.
Interesting. Okay, so I also had Hannah going pre-merge, pre-jury, whatever we want to call it at this point. I got very specific, though. I said that she would be our mergatory boot.
Oh, okay.
I said that she is surprisingly one of the biggest hot messes of her hot mess tribe, realizing she probably should have done more to prepare. That is an understatement. Despite her chastising the previous two Survivor therapists, she is the messiest of them all. Being close with Brandon and the subsequent chaos of Lulu is able to keep her through the pre-merge. At Mergatory, Lulu is down to 3, and Hannah doesn't help things when she confronts Kendra about skipping the escalator all the way at the airport, which starts a conflict between the two women. With far fewer numbers on her side, Hannah tells those voting, quote, "Take me or leave me." They choose leave me. I believe that's a Rent reference because she told me a story about being in Rent. And true to her crush on Jeff, she will ask him for a hug on the way out, and he does not look happy giving it. Her closest ally was Brandon. Her enemy was Kendra. I, of course, have continued also the randomly generated phrases, even though the idle phrases are in the dust. Behind the window was a reflection that only instilled fear.
Oh.
All right, so Dwight, you are the judge, jury, and executioner here. Between Liana and I, who do you think had the more accurate prediction? Obviously, outcome, notwithstanding, of Hannah in the game.
So you both got Hannah being the pre-jury. Your Liana's story about her enemies were Emily and Caleb, which is technically accurate, although they were gonna keep. I'm not sure what was going on there. And Mike, you said who were her allies? I think it was just Brandon.
Brandon was her main ally, yeah.
Yeah, I have to give it to Liana here, given that it was, the tribe phase got voted out, not so much making the mergatory boot. And also Liana's had a bit more, I guess, a flair, I guess, in how the whole story happened, and some things were kind of accurate in that story, actually. Some small parts. Yeah. So Liana gets this point.
Yes,
I do believe.
Google Bard thought that Hannah was a software engineering, so I cut that part. And okay. I think that cutting that really helped with my victory. Thank you very much.
That was smart. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a good idea.
You were the helpful editor, I think, to the ghostwriter that is Google Bard. I mean, as you mentioned, though, the Kendra element from my prediction, I'd be remiss not to bring up, of course, something that has been making the rounds. One of the biggest things we didn't see in this episode was a chance for perhaps not at Mergatory, but at some point, Kendra and Hannah were able to encounter each other. Now, Hannah, of course, had the exact opposite reaction than she did in the preseason, profusely apologizing to Kendra. Kendra being like, "It's okay, boo, Libras forever, kiss." But this new twist that apparently at the end of the immunity challenge, the first place finishing tribe, which was Bello, got to send one tribe member over to the losing tribe, Lulu, for the afternoon. Now, Bello had the chance to do the funniest thing ever, and they didn't do it by not sending Bruce. They sent Kendra,
so mad.
Which was like silver medal, I would say, like akin to Krista being sent to loot the Morgans camp in Pearl Islands. Because, I mean, I think Kendra's a little more chill, surprisingly, when it comes to like interpersonal aspects. So I'm sure she was relatively fine. It seemed like Hannah like really vibed out with her. But the thing to come of this is also the revelation that Kendra, after visiting with the tribe for a day, went to Treemail and got to cast a secret vote to be read at that tribe's tribal council that night. This was something that Lulu was not aware of whatsoever. So, Dwight, I would love to get your thoughts because, again, you were on the journey in the first episode, and I think we're still going to get those. You see it a bit in the next time on Survivor, but, like, what do you make of this twist in the new era where cross-tribal, manufactured circumstances are so far few in between?
I have a lot of like mixed things. I love the twist as an idea as a viewer. It's a nice way to get some cross tribal interaction that you typically haven't seen too much in this new era. New era really just been a lot of isolation, and you meet people on their journeys, and that's kind of it. 44 had their little musical chairs swap. But this is actually, if this is a recurring thing, I hope this is a recurring thing. Where you send someone over to kind of interact with them, cast a vote secretly, which the secret vote will, I presume, not be so secret after the first time, and it's a bit more strategies involved with it. On these 6-person tribes, what typically happens is that there ends up being a 4-2 split, or like 5-1, where someone gangs up on someone. With this, if there happens, like, what I'm trying to say is, naturally, if it's like 4-2, 5-1, you don't want to get in a deadlock situation, the extra vote won't really change too much. It won't, cause a swing. However, once they realize that there's an extra vote coming on, if there's a group of 3 that feels comfortable with each other, they might try and grab that 4th person and be like, "Hey, can you vote with us to get someone out? When the merge comes, we got you." And I think that could really, once it becomes known, it could really change how people interact on their tribe, preparing up for tribal council, being like, "Okay, we only need 3, and we'll just try and convince this 4th person to come along and join us." But at the same time, that person from the tribe can just betray you guys with impunity, kind of, because they don't have to come back to this tribe. They may see you at the merge, but also get rid of a member if you think that 3 is stronger. And that person coming in doesn't worry about tribe strength. They can be like, "Oh, those 3 are together. Y'all 3 should come together. Let's vote out and say their strongest member, like challenge-wise. Or else I'm not going to vote with you. One of y'all will go home." Like, you can threaten somebody if you're the 7th person or person going over. You can say, "Hey, they're going to vote one of y'all out. Y'all vote your strongest member, and I'll vote with you. or when else going home, and I'm not gonna help you. Like, there's so many ways you can play this, and it's so exciting to see that. As a player, I'd be frustrated if someone from another tribe came over, voted me out, and they like there's nothing I can really do about it. But haven't happened yet. Like someone's a swing vote and they're coming over. That could be kind of annoying. But I do really like that. I don't think there has been I'm trying to think if there's been a tribe that was 3-3 from the beginning, like opinion wise. I think no. My tribe. I'm dumb. It was a 3-3 split, but I just didn't have a vote, so it was 3-2 technically. But we were split 3-3 on opinions what we should do. So I think in every other tribe it was like a pretty unanimous first vote, or like 4-2 at least.
Right.
So hopefully it does make a 3-3 split a bit more common in terms of like how people are feeling group wise. That's one of my regrets. I was like, if only I had a vote that tribal, it would have been interesting having a 3-3 opinion split on our Bessie's first tribal. God damn, losing my vote.
Sorry.
Listen, at least you had the chance to, risk it. You weren't like Matt Blankenship, who automatically lost his vote because he got on a boat.
Right. That was, oh God. I chose that. I chose my fate.
The other thing to think about with this kind of twist is if it continues and let's say one tribe gets decimated and you end up with like 4-3 people and then one extra vote, that is an even bigger percentage from someone who's not even on that tribe. I'm just picturing like a 2-2 vote split, and then the third person from another tribe is the one who makes the decision. Like something like that would be super bizarre, but also I'm okay with playing around. Like let's see what happens.
On a 3-person tribe, if 4th person comes over and they can't be voted out, they can just default someone out of the game, right? Because 2-2 deadlock, 2 people safe, 3rd person on that tribe is defaulted.
That's the thing. You brought up your 3-3 scenario. If someone comes in and is like, "Oh, I'll totally vote this person out," they can throw their vote away to force the 3-3, and then like they have to choose. So they could choose to absolutely leave things in chaos if they want to. But what I do think is interesting is that, like you said, these cross-tribal opportunities are few and far between in the new era. And I feel like you probably experienced this as well. Like when you go there, I'm sure you make loose promises of like, oh, we could all work together if and when things match up. But like, there's nothing concrete. It's said all the time in Survivor. You can say all you want to, but once you put pen to parchment, that's when you prove where your loyalties lie. This is that opportunity to show that. Someone could get brought over and they're like, okay, you want to work with us? Vote for this person. And that person would have to prove that right there, right then, rather than just sort of like, make this faulty promise that would then hopefully be developed 10 days down the line when they merge.
Right. This is a great way to make allies, but it's also an amazing way to make enemies. And I'm intrigued to see how people play this. If they end up going over and you hit the merge and they've made like 20 enemies, everyone wants them out because they went rogue on their extra vote or secret vote or whatever. So it's going to be interesting. If this continues, start to see, I hope this is a recurring thing. If this is a one-off, when this is like actually very intrigued, I'm going to be so upset.
No, we know that Survivor in the new era doesn't do something one time. Even if it's not so good, they will do it multiple times and continue it.
If there's a tie and the person from the other tribe is involved in the tie and they need to re-vote or how does that work?
You wake them up in camp. You
do you go get them?
Tribal council.
Bring them over.
Are they attend tribal though? The secret person, right?
Yeah, no. Apparently Kendra went to Tree Mail and cast her vote and then left. That's why they didn't know that she could vote. Is like she wasn't at tribal council.
I was told that she was at tribal with reactions. Or
they should put her
in an interview. Never mind.
They should put her in the Boston Rob Sandra box and then have her watch from there, and then that way she can recast a vote if absolutely necessary. Or does that vote just like never change, right? So it's like, okay, well, it's always going to be a vote for Brandon if she cast a vote for Brandon,
which has a lot of power as well. Of like, well, I'm not changing my vote because I'm not here, so you all change your vote.
Oh no.
What gets wrong now? I really hope we see this. Also, I'm curious if they thought all this through about like the small interactions. Because like I just love things like the smallest things. Like also as a working software, so like all the salt edge cases. I'm curious to see like when they make these twists, if they think of all these edge cases are just like, oh shit, there's we didn't think. Like, what do we do? Like I really just want to be in that room when they're like planning out how to use bandages and it's like, can they do that? Is this allowed? Get the rule book now. Like they need to know.
Yeah.
So I'm very intrigued to see how this goes.
Okay, so we talked a lot about decision making. I have prepared an opportunity for the two of you to make your own decisions in the context of the premiere episode of this season. We are doing a choose your own adventure where I have written up scenarios based on this episode, loosely based on this episode, with
Which in and of
several
itself
different.
felt like it was a choose your own adventure.
Yes, exactly. It's really, really true. So I am going to actually let me share screen. And you two are going to get the opportunity to play as a contestant on this season. So a big part of this is picking your
fuck it up again.
character.
Oh
Okay.
God, I'm gonna fuck it up again.
No, Dwight,
No,
this is your second
no.
chance.
Yeah, exactly. Let's be more positive. Come on, Dwight.
There's
We're
no
not
journey in
glass
this
half
episode,
empty.
so you're good.
Correct. There's no journey. So you have to come up with a character. Okay. That's very important to me personally. Not
Okay.
that it's relevant for the story, but it's important to me that you come up with a character. So I don't know why it's kind of like freaking out a little bit in the is it like flashing for you, Mike? In the No? Okay. All right, great. Okay. So
All right. Well, first
okay,
of all,
don't read
Liana,
it. Don't read it.
Yeah,
I'm putting my
gonna-
hand over the screen. Don't read it. Okay, you have to come up with your character first.
All right,
So-
Dwight, what do you think? Now listen, Occam's razor is we make you the Bruce and give you a second chance, or would you prefer we come up with someone new entirely?
Okay. A slight variation on this. When I play Goose Goose Duck, how do y'all see me? I would just want to be that chaotic as a Survivor player now.
Okay.
Like my Goose Goose Duck persona. Just absolute degeneracy.
Straight murderer.
Well, I think in that case, we play as a version of yourself called Dwight Less, in which you are bringing less in terms of your old gameplay, and you're bringing more of this absolutely burn it all down atmosphere, which, considering the brunt of the focus this episode, if that puts you on Lulu, fits you right in. Honestly, you could be head of the class on Lulu, Dwight Less.
Lovely. We are burning everything down, every opportunity. Like more chaos is the better. That's what we're doing now.
I thought you were gonna make his middle name Even, and then it would be Dwight Even More.
You know what? I'm good with that as well.
That's I like that more. That's better.
Dwight Even More.
Dwight
And then
Even More.
and then I think what would happen is that in the marketing leading up to the season, of course, we bring in classic rock songs. I think we bring in the classic Pearl Jam song, Even More. Draw it back.
If I come back, I'm using this 100% in promo. Telling you that now. This
great.
is Dwight Even More is being brought out.
Even More.
Dwight, what is he leading up against?
I don't know.
This is the amazing race.
I'll make my own the chaos. I'm making up my own partner in my head. Okay, you can't predict this anymore.
The point. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, Dwight Even More. Welcome to Survivor 45. You are one of the newest castaways on this season of Survivor. You begin by riding on a boat surrounded by people wearing yellow.
Oh, no.
You arrive at a bigger boat for the first match chat.
Bigger big boat?
You were on a boat, and now you go to a
You arrive at a bigger big boat.
Bigger big boat.
Also, I didn't exactly proofread this, so we'll just see how it goes. Okay.
If only Dar could have proofread you like you did for
I
it.
love this.
This is just me typing and going for it. Okay. Jeff begins by talking to a familiar face, Bruce from season 44. After Bruce replies, one of your tribe mates pushes back against his response. Emily calls Bruce out for being more mentally prepared than any of them. When he responds, she calls him out again for already speaking with authority. You have three options. Do you defend Emily? Do you defend Bruce and clap back? Or do you say nothing?
Oh, well, we know Dwight Even More is not saying nothing. If somebody has opened up the can, he's going to take the innards of the can and like throw it down his throat. He is ready to gobble down whatever's being said. The question is, whose side are you taking in this?
See, as a member of Yellow Tribe, I see Emily, and she's just already going off on someone else. This is Bruce. Bruce is beloved. You know, people like he deserves to come back. He injured himself, and Emily's making herself look awful right now. Just going after this poor man. He just wants to play Survivor. Jeff asked him a question, and Emily's the audacity to like, how dare he answer that? I'm going to go after him. So I'm going to defend Bruce and clap back. You know, there's no point going after this man who just wants to play Survivor, and you're going to attack him and his character and just bring him down from the beginning. No, Dwight Even More does not stand for this.
I think it would also make sense that
for justice.
You are also a returning player. It'd be a little odd if you're like,
yeah,
you know what,
Bruce?
He has too much authority. Screw returning players.
Yeah, we hate those guys.
Okay, so
I just imagine I'm there with
returning
like a mustache, like they don't know I'm returning, just like a very evil mustache.
the
We're
like
no,
long
right. I'm not returning, guys. I'm
Yes,
like Dwight even
all
more.
right.
Different.
This is
brand
our
new.
this is our requested Photoshop of the week. I'll let Bruce from last week is just put
Oh,
Dwight on the Lulu tribe with the biggest handlebar mustache you've ever seen. All right, so we are defending Bruce. We're gonna
All
clap
right.
back.
Let's clap back. We're clapping back, baby. Bruce, Emily doesn't speak for all of us. FYI, you reply. The other contestants laugh, but Emily looks upset and rolls her eyes. That's a lot of fire for the first day. That usually shows up at the final four, Jeff jokes.
And
All
then
the
Dwight even more boos him audibly.
How dare you? All the castaways laugh a little too hard, desperately trying to make Jeff like them. Jeff continues. Let's begin our first reward challenge. In this challenge, each tribe will need to decide which person will run which leg of the race. Do you volunteer to lift heavy things, swim, or do the key part? I didn't know what to call it. So I just did the key part.
Not only do I volunteer to lift heavy things, I request that Emily do it with me because I want us to have to work together after going after each other.
I love this.
Okay, so you are going to lift
Just the
heavy
image of Dwight even
things.
more burying Emily in rope. Just being like, this is what you get for going after returning players.
Exactly. Well, let's see. You volunteer to lift heavy things. You line up ready to start the challenge. Survivors ready? Go, Jeff yells. You run to the box, but your shoe gets stuck on the deck of the ship. Your
Wait,
forward
what
momentum.
kind of deck work is being done on this boat that there's loose boards?
Look, I don't know, a rug or whatever. I don't know,
A
with something,
rug.
a stick. You trip. Your
Chef's
shoelace.
cashmere carpet that he requests on every challenge site.
That shag carpeting that's on every deck of every boat. Fine, you didn't tie your shoelaces. Dwight even more was too busy, like getting
we
excited.
don't look for the finer things. We just, like I said, fuck it, we ball. Shoes untied. We see they're untied too. We don't need it. We just keep going.
All right, fine. You run to the box, but you trip on your own shoelace. Your forward momentum thrusts you forward head first. Bruce reaches over and grabs you before you smash your head directly into the side of the box.
My king.
Wow. I could have split my head open. Thank goodness I defended Bruce, you think to yourself.
Wow, this is like Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison. God, thank God I called that guy.
See? Despite your positive Bruce karma and your best efforts, you lose the first challenge. Okay, moving on. To earn your supplies, you must complete the sweat and savvy tasks. Do you volunteer for sweat and savvy or do you not volunteer?
Oh, now, Dwight even more. Are you going to continue your early onset grudge and drag Emily into sweat and savvy?
Oh, undoubtedly. We are going to either build these bonds like strong or they're going to break so fast. We're going to volunteer for Sweat and Savvy with Emily. We are going to look at her and be like, I think we got this. You know, together, we can accomplish anything or nothing.
And the pure irony that probably back at camp, you have people being like, wow, Dwight even more and Emily are such a pair. They're doing everything together. We need to split them up.
Oh, they're gone too.
Wait, that's actually so interesting. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Oh, I
think we can actually make that work. Okay, so let's see. We might need to restart. So what you want to do, Dwight, is you want to volunteer, but with Emily, right?
With Emily, the person I was just attacking earlier.
Yes. Okay.
100%.
Let's see. So I think I can change that real quick. Okay, so this is going to give you the opportunity to do alongside Emily. Okay. And then we just need to grab these. Okay. Okay, sorry for the delay.
No.
But
This
we're
is,
gonna
again, fancy schmancy. People who are not taking the visual element. Liana has like drummed up an entire ass program around this. You're pulling out all the stops, much like the Survivor marketing team for season 45.
Yes. Baldur's Gate again. All the options I have in dialogue. This is amazing.
Yeah, there's no dice rolls here. But anyway, okay. All right. So
There aren't in Survivor either.
Let's see if this is gonna work. Okay. I just need to find it here. and you.
Which is also wild, by the way. Speaking of dice rolls, I'm just thinking about the fact that, like, Brandon nearly... I mean, Dwight, you're talking about comparisons to your season premiere. Here's a guy from a yellow tribe coming back being like, no, I'm going to play my shot in the dark tonight for no particular reason except for the fact that he, like, I don't know, may need some Prilosec OTC or something.
Listen, I love the gambit of I'm playing Shot in the Dark off rip again. Like, we saw it work once before. Clearly, Brandon for winner pick. It's locked in now. It worked once. It's gonna work again. Like, we see the vision. We all see it, right? It's gonna...
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine for Survivor 47, because of course it only works on odd number seasons, one tribe, everyone's going to say they're playing their Shot in the Dark because they know the tradition is on set. It happens. It's set in stone.
It has to be the yellow tribe too. Has to be whatever yellow tribe's on 47. If they bring, like I said, retire yellow, it's cursed, but if they bring it back again for the drama, one, casting, please put all the chaotic people on yellow. Just don't balance it physically. Just like the 6 base personalities in casting, put them on the yellow tribe. I don't care if they lose every challenge. That's what I want. I want entertainment. No strategy. No, they're gonna play the game together and mesh well. No, I want them to mesh horribly together. And put them on yellow and let's see what happens.
I mean, listen, I'll go so far as to say, make it 3 tribes, all differing shades of yellow. Do Survivor Oops all yellow, because the color's just cursed and guaranteed at this point.
So do they go back to the tribe just however they want? Like, oh, I'm on the wrong boat, and now you're with that tribe? Like, oops.
Yeah, before they move on to the bigger big boat, they just like go back of whatever they went on, and now the yellow tribes are mixed up every episode.
All right, well, I hope this makes sense. So we're gonna volunteer for Savvy versus Sweat 2, which is with Emily.
Which already has a sequel. It's that popular.
Yes, exactly. It's like the Fast and Furious franchise. It's 2 volunteer, 2 savvy,
2 sweat, 2 savvy.
2 savvy. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so you choose to volunteer for Sweat and Savvy alongside Emily. However, you fail the challenge, and it's another L for Lulu. As you struggle with the logs, you wonder what they're talking about back at camp. At least you and Emily had a chance to bond. One of the things you discuss is putting the target on Caleb and Sabaya as a strong pair. Do you agree or disagree with Emily? Essentially, do you agree with putting the target on Caleb and Sabaya, or do you disagree with that?
Listen, at this point, I've learned with Emily is that she's going to be outspoken no matter what. Agree or disagree, she's probably going to go with it. But to her face, I'm going to agree with her because I'm going to hope that with my support, she'll be a bit more outspoken about this. And if I need to, I'll be like, she's doing the one talking. But we're going to agree with Emily here. And our newfound friend will guide us to victory, guide us to the light. Hopefully the light's not the end of the tunnel that leads to Ponderosa, but light at the end of the tunnel somewhere.
Just be a little trepidatious because Emily will be the type of person to be like, this guy gets it whenever she says some sort of outlandish statement. You're like, nope, I'm not me.
Okay, so let's agree with Emily. Okay. Okay, some of this doesn't really make sense, but whatever. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. A tight duo in the game is always something to be nervous about, you reply. Emily is clearly thrilled by this answer, and she will never forget your loyalty. Okay, a little while later, you return from Sweat and Savvy without supplies. Without a machete or flint, there's not much to do besides sit down for a bit of bonding. Caleb starts strong by bringing up that the pyramids were built by aliens. You know, there's a theory that they were batteries for the aliens, Sabaya adds. What do you think? She asks you. I don't believe that they're real. I don't believe that that's real. Or sure, I believe that the aliens built the pyramids.
Not only does Dwight even more, like, he is indulging in conspiracies, but this is like the biggest one. He has been preparing to talk about this his entire life. And Caleb brings it up. Dwight even was like, oh my God, this man, like, Emily is about to be cast aside for the alien pyramid conspiracy theorist because I cannot agree more with that. The aliens 100% built the pyramids. They are what the energy from these pyramids is fueling me across the world. That's what it is right now. They are giving me my energy to play Survivor.
What's that meme? Friendship with Emily ended. New friendship is with alien conspiracy theorist Caleb.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, great. So, sure, I believe that the aliens built the pyramids. I totally agree. Although they were built before Einstein invented gravity, so it's possible humans contributed a bit to their construction. You add?
Yeah, that it makes sense. No, it makes sense.
Where was Dwight even more on January 6th?
need gravity, right?
It's fake news.
Okay. Unfortunately, the conversation was cut short as it was time for the first immunity challenge. Surprising no one, Lulu takes yet another L and heads back to camp to prepare for tribal. Upon returning to camp, your tribe crumbles even further. Hannah is furiously sweeping every inch of the ground. Brandon is in pain.
No,
Emily
no,
is...
no. What did you write?
Oh. Every inch of ground. Okay. Anyway, Brandon is in pain. Emily is stomping around, complaining about
For those that are
something.
not watching the visual concept, Liana wrote, "Brandon is pain."
Look, I didn't proofread it. Okay, Brandon is pain. Emily. Every inch. Yeah, I missed a lot of words here. Anyway, Emily is stomping around, complaining about something. Sean is nowhere to be found.
Oh,
Hannah starts having what appears to be a mental breakdown, saying she will quit the game. Do you comfort Hannah or ignore her and go to the beach?
The human in me, like I can't say ignore her. But maybe Dwight even more does ignore people when they're at their breaking point. Because you know what? Chaos is the best thing. If the chaos spirals out, we'll go with it. So against every fiber, my personal being, we're gonna ignore.
No, I like that.
It's
it's this idea of like, well, also maybe he doesn't want to feed it further. Feed the flame. He wants to be like it's the girl at the bar. You gotta let her come to you.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Gotta be cool.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Drew, Dwight, even more is going to ignore her and go to the beach. Okay. You ignore Hannah and head down to the beach. Something shiny catches your eye. Is that a vape?
No. Can somebody now do a Photoshop of the butterfly man?
You go over to the object and pick it up. Sure enough, it's a vape. I should give this to Hannah. She's going through nicotine withdrawals, you think to yourself. You run up the beach and give her the vape. Before she can thank you, you're whisked away to tribal council. Tribal begins, and Hannah seems relatively calm. Is she still going to try and quit, you wonder? That question fades into the background when suddenly a bright light appears hovering above the tribal council set. You assume it's some new twist for the season, but even Jeff looks confused and a bit terrified. Before you can move a muscle, a cone of light shines down upon you and you begin floating up into the light. I knew it. Aliens are real. You think to yourself as the beam of light engulfs your body, erasing you into the UFO. The end.
Okay, so this accounts for the one person who just wasn't on your cast list in your predictions, right, Liana? They got abducted by aliens.
You got the abducted by aliens ending.
So
for the trap request, I need like the me with the curly hair mustache being sucked into an alien ship. Just like...
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Right.
Oh,
wow. Man. Okay. So wait, was it that the aliens had like overheard you were so gung ho about them and was like, he is our ambassador?
Yeah,
no,
I
think
guess so.
It possibly or it's revealed later that unsurprisingly it wasn't. It was a clone of Dwight, but he messed up slightly and gave him the mustache, took away all rational thought. It was just an alien experiment. They just dropped him off. Said, let's see how he does. I think we also realized here that all 6 members of Lulu are accounted for. It's the 7th member of the tribe. They just threw in there and said, you know what? We'll let it work. He just showed up. We can't tell him no.
Yeah.
So
we'll just let him stay.
I mean, could it also be something where there was a twist in the alien version of Survivor where one person from the human version got to get sent to the alien tribe to cast a vote? So you were the Kendra in this situation.
True. That's true. And before tribal happened, the rest of the tribe, they had to suck me away back to my beach on the alien Survivor. It makes total sense. 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations. That was probably the most interesting ending that I wrote, if I do say so myself. There's a few other endings. So if you comfort Hannah at any point, you just, I think does she quit? Yeah, because she needs her vape. So you have to go to the beach to get the vape. That was like,
which is this like a Survivor Panama brick of Coke situation where talk about another reason why Shane Powers was able to last the entire season, like a vape just washed up on shore and you give it to Hannah.
Yes, that
fully
is correct.
Functioning vape.
That was exactly the same. That was actually the inspiration. I was like, yes, of course, it washes up on the beach. Yes. Let's see. What were some other
Wait,
interesting?
you survive another week pondering of bird. What was that? You're
If
pondering of
birds are
birds.
really crop dusting airplanes flying over the United States, spying on all of us.
Oh, in her final word, she exclaims, "Birds aren't real."
Birds aren't real.
He's right.
Yeah. And then there's a few other endings. Oh, yeah, essentially, I mean, there's a ton of different decision points. There's one ending where if you depending on the decisions that you make, Emily just starts like yelling at you like in all caps, and she gets kicked off the show for like lighting your stuff on fire.
Oh,
Hold
what?
on. Let me go. So I think if you volunteer but you go with Sabaya, and then the aliens built the pyramids, you go to the beach. Yeah. So let's see. Okay, yeah, Hannah's calm because she got her vape, and then
Emily pops off.
Emily pops off. Yeah, Emily begins to pop off, complaining about the tribe, and then this is if you also agree that the aliens are real, and then you say, "Hey, it's not my fault. You left your aluminum foil hat behind."
Good one.
Thank you. Emily is enraged by your response and begins throwing her belongings in the fire. The Egyptians employed a sloping and encircling embankment of brick, earth, and sand, which was increased in height and length as the pyramids rose. Stone blocks were hauled up the ramp by means of sledges, rollers, and levers. Emily yells at you as she continues to burn your things. Emily was then kicked off the show for lighting your stuff on fire.
That would have been incredible as well.
Oh my god.
That was another good one. And then
Is there an outcome where you do get medevaced in the first challenge because you hit your head on the box?
Yeah. So if you
It was
either
Bruce.
say nothing or defend Emily. Oh yeah, the defending Emily one was very interesting. So if you defend Emily, you decide to support your new tribe mate. Emily is right. Bruce has an unfair advantage. He shouldn't have been brought back with new players, you protest. Are you questioning my decision making? Jeff retorts. I'm just saying he's already been out here. Plus, I bet he knows spoilers from season 44 because Tika probably has a group chat. That's enough out of you, Jeff yells before storming over to your mat and lunging at you. And then do you dodge to the right or to the left? If you dodge to the right, Jeff anticipates the move. He lifts you off your feet and chucks you into the ocean. You are disqualified for doubting Jeff's authority. But if you dodge to the left, you evade Jeff's attack. And he says, "Okay, you got me this time, but I'll be watching you."
Oh, you got me this time.
You got me this time.
All right. You dodged it. You gotta let it go.
Exactly. He's like, all right, one is okay. And then if you lift heavy ropes, you line up and then you fall forward and you split your head. So if you do that or say nothing and you lift heavy stuff, then you get medevac.
What happens if you swim? I'm really intrigued because obviously that was such a pivotal point for Lulu.
Yeah. So if you volunteer to swim, survivors ready, go. Jeff yells. Caleb and Sabaya are finished before you know it, and now it's your turn. You jump in the water, swim to the boat, and paddle it back. However, Brandon is struggling to get up the ladder. Do you climb up the ladder and let him fend for himself, or do you help him up? So if you let him fend for himself, that's fine. He just struggles a bit and then you lose and you move on to Savvy or Sweat. But if you help him up, oh shit, I forgot to write Oh no. This was supposed to be you drown. All I wrote was you drown, the end. I forgot to write this one. This is a death ending where you like hoist him up, but he kicks you in the head and then you float and you drown.
I was gonna screenshot this.
Please.
You drown, the end.
You drown, the end.
Oh man, that might slightly beat out the alien abduction ending for the best ending of the simulator.
Just simply, you drown. That's it.
You drown. There's always going to be a threat of death somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
So,
either you drown, Jeff throws you overboard, in which case you could possibly drown as well. Yeah. Emily throws all of your personal belongings into the fire because she has a Wikipedia-like understanding of how the pyramids are built, or you get abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I forgot to cite my sources, but I just Googled how are the pyramids built and then copy pasta the first entry that came up. So that's just straight facts.
I'm waiting on the Emily burning people's belongings ending to appear in this season. She's gonna hit her breaking point.
It's gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen.
And when it happens, come back to this podcast. We called it. We knew Emily was gonna just hit a moment when she just can't take it anymore with the people she's with.
Yeah.
That's,
Understandable.
That's the thing. People were comparing Lulu to the Brains tribe. Like, they're more amped up than this. Jatia threw rice in the fire. So Emily could take, like, the clothing of everybody while they're swimming in the ocean and just burn it, leaving everyone in their underwear for the rest of the season.
Exactly. I'm hoping we also get the alien abduction ending, but, a girl can dream.
I think it'll happen.
That's for Sabia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
She'll get that.
it'll be Mergatory, where they're like, we're bringing in one more player. This is Gleepglorp. He's new to this season. And then there's a whole discussion about Emily being like, I think the alien has, a bit of an unfair advantage. They've been through this before, albeit on a galactic season. And then the cycle starts anew. Dwight, this was an immense pleasure getting to have you on and give your thoughts about the wacky nature of this premiere and do some wacky stuff in turn on this podcast. As is per usual, at the end of every week here on the B&B, we like to throw it over to our guests to highlight a charity or a cause outside of all the silliness that we do to hopefully draw people's eyes onto, something worthy to give your time and money to. What would you like to highlight this week?
I think so. Just being from Memphis, naturally, I'm just gonna say St. Jude's Children's Hospital. They do amazing work for children in need, and no cost, run on donations. So just looking at that, try giving to there so children can become healthy. And that's my main thing. Just looking to St. Jude donate because they need your donations to help with kids all over the world.
Amazing. Well, Dwight, whether you're more or even more, if people want to check out even more of you from a social media perspective, is there anything you want to plug? How can people follow you?
I don't really have too much social media presence, but I have Twitter. I think Dwight Moore _Jr. and then Instagram is Dwight.Moore.Jr. And I am nowhere else. That's it. So just follow me Instagram or Twitter. Twitter if you want more of me. Instagram if you want to see photos I haven't posted in like a year. So your choice.
And if people are coming to the Know-It-Alls event next week, you will see Dwight there as well. And you'll see myself.
Free, talk to me.
Yeah.
Please. I love when people come talk to me about like the show. I love having fans. I'm a fan first and foremost, just having me alumni second. So just please talk to me about anything. I would love to chat with anybody who happens to be there.
Yeah, I will be there as well. Hopefully Liana will be too. So if you have any and all thoughts about the whatever we just put in your ears for the past hour and a half, as Dwight said, feel free, walk up to us, talk to us. We'd love to chat with you all. Liana, in the meantime, you were chatting about plenty of other shows. Your full repertoire of coverage is back in gear. What do you want to plug right now?
Yes. So you can follow me on Twitter at Liana RHAP. I am podcasting about The Masked Singer. Puya and I released our coverage for the first, technically 2 episodes. It was like a kickoff and a premiere. It's very bizarre, but whatever. That's out there. And then my sister and I did Lego Masters episode 1. And then we're going to be coming back essentially every 3-ish episodes to do coverage for that as well.
You can always follow me at a Mike Bloom type. You can check out my interview with Hannah from this week, which was very illuminating. Again, depending on how you feel about her quit, understandably so, I would say check out, her perspective on everything from before, during, and after the show. She shines a bit more of a light as to, again, this sort of unseen Kendra visit. So a very welcome chat with a very different looking Hannah, I should say. She went full redhead, maybe wanting to join Reba instead of the yellow hair that she had on Lulu. I'm also doing plenty of stuff on the CBS side. Amazing Race also aired its 90-minute premiere where I got to talk with Rob and Jess about that, as well as do an exit interview with the first team eliminated. Did an exit interview this past week with the most recently eliminated Big Brother contestant. Very prominent Survivor connection, to say the least. So if you're a Survivor fan, you want to check that out. Also did my interview with the most recent boot from the challenge as well. Speaking of The Amazing Race, next week we will talk with someone who is most well known for basically everything but Survivor on reality TV, but is a huge Survivor fan and was actually seen last week standing on a rooftop sassing contestants as they messed up a word puzzle over and over again. We're going to continue the B&B debuts as Claire Refuse, Big Brother 23 contestant and winner of The Amazing Race 34, is going to join Liana and I to break down what should be a very entertaining episode 2 of Survivor 45. If the first episode is any indication, we are in for a wild ride, and no matter what happens, I'm so excited to break this down with you, Liana, and with our guests all season long. Of course, as we're doing that, and you have game ideas, send them in, please. RHAPBNB@gmail.com, the letter B, the letter N, the letter B. You can use social media, hashtag RHAPBNB, any and all games, seriously. are welcome. We're receptive to any silly, stupid idea that could come our way. No idea is too stupid when it comes to the B&B. So that's going to do it for this week. Special thanks to Scott St. Pierre and the entire RHAP team for editing things behind the scenes, and Will from America for his fantastic theme song. Emily is eyeing my stuff, so I have to go before she throws it into the fire right now. But we'll be back next week with Claire Refuse.
Alien ship above me?
Yeah.
Oh god!
Huh.
Before we get beamed away, we're gonna break down episode 2 next week with Claire Refuse. Until then, everybody, we'll check you out at your next stay.